Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, this is something different for me, and as you know, I like to try something different. I like to challenge myself. This is the Thinking of You PhotoPlay stickers, I guess. This is a 12 by 12 sheet. I've never had one of these before. I've never purchased one. I've never used one in card making because sometimes I feel I don't like the look of stickers, but we are going to challenge ourselves today. I think I make 4 or 5 cards in this video, and we are going to run through and just show you how I use some of the items to suit myself, I guess, to make them what I need them, how we can turn these into cards. Obviously this one is, I think, sympathy, thinking of you sort of, but we are going to go a little more cheerful than that. And even though some of them I do the thinking of you, but some of them we're going to take in other directions, but also how you can see some of these things and use them in different ways completely. Now, this is obviously going to work if you have stamps. You'll be able to take the ideas of all of these cards, the layouts and things, and you'll be able to do your own thing. You absolutely don't need this sticker sheet, but this sticker sheet was, I think, $2.40 or so US, maybe full price it's $2.90 or something. It's pretty cheap. These are beautiful quality cardstock stickers, and so I was excited to give these a go. Now, not all of these have a white border. A couple of them do, which is something that I was drawn towards, that most of them don't. There are so many different types of these, so I will link to a good handful of them down below, or my favorite ones, maybe my top 4 or 5 of them. I have ordered a few more because I love these. These are gorgeous, stunning, beautiful, bright colors, and they push me outside of my comfort zone. So the first one are these beautiful hexagons. Now, there are a couple on each end that are not quite complete, so I'll make sure to use those up, but the rest of them I'm going to cut in half just so I can make them go a little bit further. These are going to create a gorgeous border for a strip, for like a panel that's going to go down the front there. You can see I have some pencil lines that I created. Those pencil lines are, like a few mils inside of what the actual panel is going to be, just so it gives me a guideline, but I know that that bit is going to be covered up, so I'm just choosing which ones, making sure I've got different patterns side by side, and I'm still going to have some of these left over as well. For me, I just find it easier to cut this little bit out of the sticker sheet because just so much easier for choosing and cutting them into smaller pieces or whatever I need them to be. So you can see I've just created a nice little panel there, and then we're going to go on to create a bit more. So for this one, this is obviously a label, a tab or something, but I'm going to turn this into a vase. And so I was looking at which way I want to do this, but I'm actually going to turn it the other way and use that little lip that you would usually put the label on, and that is where I'm going to have the sort of top of my vase be. So I just draw some pencil lines on the front, knowing that I'm going to cut inside of this. You could obviously draw the pencil lines on the back, but I know that I can erase them later on if need be too. Now, your vase does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be perfectly even at all. This is handmade cards, and so I just may as well make the most of that gorgeous big sort of block bit of colour and turn it into something. I also have enough there to make probably a second one, a slightly different shape, so there's lots more there. Now, I'm using some big brush markers to create some shadows, some shading on the vase, just so it's not so flat looking. This is absolutely not necessary. You could do this with some normal ink as well, but I knew that these would have a coating on top, so I'm able to use my big brush markers for these. Then I'm going to put some foam tape on the back, but just so that I can pop the flowers inside. So I've just created a little well there, and then this is going to go on the panel or the strip that is going to go down the front. So then I'm just going to add a little bit of detail to my flowers, truly just sort of drawn in with a colour that's somewhat similar, just some dots and lines around the flowers to give them a little more going on. Now this little posy here, I guess, I can pop inside the vase because remember I left room where the foam tape is, but it kind of looks a little bit empty, so I decided to go ahead, and there is lots of little single flowers on there, and these do not have any white border at all, so I'm just going to pop these in there and really fill out this little bouquet so it looks nice and full. A few more flowers never goes astray. Then I have a piece of cardstock from this Playful. I thought that the sort of turquoisey colour was a beautiful contrast for all of the oranges, pinks and yellows that we used here in this sort of card set. So I'm going to put this on here. Use my nice long Tim Holtz long bladed scissors to make a cut down there. You could also use a trimmer, but I find if I tried to do that cut with my Cutter-bee scissors or a short bladed scissors, I would end up wonky as all get up. So I have to use my long bladed scissors to make those cuts, and I know that they're going to end up nice and straight if I use them. So then I'm going to put my panel straight down the middle here. Now at this point I didn't know if the card was finished. I really love it without a sentiment. I didn't even think I would put one on. It's sort of bright and cheerful. I'm going to leave it there for the minute. Now I have cut out an extra little piece from a postcard rectangle die, and that has got some beautiful stitching on it, and so I think that's just the perfect detail for the outside. And I was well and truly inspired by the last one, the last little vase that we made for the flowers, so I'm going to make another one, but different, of course. I could have made one in the spear yellow, but I'm trying to show you different options here and just how we can turn anything really into what we want. So again, this already had this beautiful shape that we could use, and this would have made a gorgeous label anyhow if you didn't want to cut it up and turn it into a flower vase. But it looks beautiful both ways, and so I'm just cutting this sort of to the height that I think I need to fit on that panel that I have cut. But other than that, the shape is looking pretty good. Now in this set you can see that there are some long sort of decorative strips, and I think what more perfect way than to decorate the vase using these. So this strip is going to be the perfect length to do a little bit down the bottom, so I'm just going to put it right across and I'll be able to trim it up later on. Once I peel off the backing from the vase sticker, then I'll be able to trim everything up neatly. So these just fit perfectly enough. There are lots of these sort of decorative borders, so I could have used different colours for the top and the bottom, but we're going to go with a bit of continuity and just use the same. So there is a gorgeous looking vase. Now I'm actually going to turn it up this way, so it has the wider end up the top, and then pop this down onto my panel. I'm just sort of checking which one I think would go in here nicely. As I said, this one ends up being similar but really different from the last one. And that's okay to sort of recycle ideas and find something that works for you and you can recreate and use using the same kit, obviously. But if you are at home and you don't have these kits and you're not keen to order them, then I bet you have the supplies that you're able to do this as well. You could freehand cut some of these out of just regular cardstock or just white cardstock and then colour them. They would look fabulous. So this one here, I really like this little sentiment that I am going to pop across there. You brighten my day, and it is the same yellow as what's at the top and the bottom, so that works out really nicely. That little posie of flowers fits inside the vase just perfectly, which is even better. I do need to trim up the edges, which ideally I would have done beforehand, but because it's popped up on some foam tape, it's nice and easy to do it afterward as well. So I can just curve those corners to go with the edge of the vase, and it looks like it was probably always meant to be there. Now I have taken some more of the teal cardstock and I am actually going to give this a little layer. I think this just brings some good contrast to it all. There is actually this tealish colour in the background of, or in the posy, some of the leaves are this kind of colour. That's coincidental that I went through my stash and found something so similar. That doesn't usually happen to me. Usually I go with something that's contrasting colour because I can never find the same colour, but this is pretty close. So that is card number 2. Moving on to card number 3. And this one may just be my absolute favourite of all. Now, these dies here are quickly becoming my absolute favourite. I got these recently and they're just a little bit different for me, and I'm really, really loving them. It's a unique shape, a little bit different than all the other sort of standard shapes. So I'm really loving these arches. I have taken out 2 dies, one right next to the other, and I'm going to take the smaller of the 2 and die cut out a card front panel, just roughly out of the center. I don't usually measure things, I pretty much just eyeball. I used a little bit of mint tape to hold it down as it was going through the die cutting machine, and then I'm going to take both of the dies that I took out and reuse those 2 pieces of mint tape. And then I put down one die with the mint tape face face up. So the sticky side is up and the cutting die is also cutting side up. And then that way I can put one inside the other and get the perfect frame and adjust them until they are just perfect. Then I'm going to run them through with some yellow glitter cardstock, mainly because I had run out of gold, but also because I was thinking about the colours that were in the sticker sheets that I had. Now, I actually changed my mind a little bit, and I would have cut this out of the coloured cardstock if I had thought about it earlier, but I didn't. So I'm going back in and inking it up because I already had the white one cut. So I'm using peacock feathers, which is very similar to that colour that's in the sticker sheet anyhow. I have a little bit of mint tape sticky side up on my fingers just so that I don't take away any of the colour and get my little fingerprints in there. And then that's transformed that from white into this gorgeous turquoisey tealy colour. And then I'm going to take the empty insert that I cut out from the arches and go a little bit bigger. I'm not kind of going in firm because I don't want to see these pencil marks. So I'm going right around the outside. Just a very light line, and that's going to give me a guide. I know it looks horrific at the moment, but it will be completely covered up very soon. So this is on my card base. And now I'm going to take all of these little sort of sprigs of flowers and these gorgeous bigger flowers, and I'm just going to adjust them and fill up that entire archway that we have created. Now this would be a fantastic shaker card if you wanted it to be, but I wasn't aiming for shaker. I didn't want to take away from any of the stickers that we were using from the set that we were using, and I just didn't want to complicate it, so I was happy as is. You can take apart and cut apart these stickers. Remember to make it your own. Remember to make your stamps, your dies, your stickers, whatever your products are. Remember to make them work for whatever you need, because once you purchase them, they're yours, and you can cut them up or bend them or do whatever you need to do so that you will get the most use out of them once we have invested in them. So I have filled that up pretty good. I've got a sentiment from the all occasions. I'm going to take the thanks a bunch, which just seemed appropriate because lots of little bunches of flowers, and so I'm going to cut that out with some nice long bladed scissors. Again, using the long bladed scissors is how I get a straight cut, and I don't have to muck around with my trimmer and getting my trimmer in those little spots. It's the long bladed scissors for the win. I did put foam tape on the back here, so it is like looking through a window. Of course, before you put the foam tape on, that's where you would put the acetate to create a shaker. But look at this gorgeous card looking through that window. I love the peak. If you wanted to, and if you had it, you could just use some cardstock, some printed paper or patterned paper behind the window, and that would look stunning too. But we created our own using the window. So I have popped the sentiment up on some foam tape, and then we have this gorgeous frame that we also created out of the yellow glitter cardstock. I am just going to use some liquid glue around the outside here, and then I'm going to pop that down, and it just finishes off that gorgeous frame. This is one of my favorite things to do with stacking dies. I think it is entirely worth the extra effort to cut out the frame, and it brings in the yellow. It highlights the yellow from those flowers so well. So this might be my favorite card, I think. Right, moving on to the next one, I have some Vicki Boutin patterned paper. These paper pads that she does are just stunning. They are some of my favorite paper pads. I don't have too many, and I was looking for some sort of colors that would coordinate with obviously what's on the sheet. Now this paper pack is not really it, but it's the only one that I had near me. And then out of this fell this scrap of paper, and it was just a yellow one. It's not from this set, it's from a different paper pack, but it just happened to be in there, and it's the same yellow that I need. So someone obviously was helping me out, and I'm just going to cut 2 little triangles from this, and these are going to go on a card front. My card base is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and then I've got these 2 little triangles which are going to meet up in the center. This card is maybe the simplest of them all. So simple, and yet I think it looks stunning. So simple and easy to create. You've got one sort of patterned plainish paper up the top, and then the yellow has a very light script through it, and then we've got this gorgeous big heart of bouquet of flowers that's going to go right in the center. And then I decided, actually as a second thought, that I would use the sentiment strip from this one. It doesn't have a white border around it. Again, I absolutely love that, and I think this is just a really nice sort of, it's a bright card, but it's not too in your face. So it says, "You're in my thoughts today." So that is going to be the 4 cards that we have created today. Let me know which one is your favorite, which one sort of catches your eye or catches your interest. You can see that we have so many stickers left on that sheet. I could have carried on for ages creating more cards here. There are lots of gorgeous butterflies that I wanted to get to use, but at some point my videos are getting longer and longer these days, so I just had to cut it off. But other than that, I will link to my favorite sheets of these stickers down below, as well as a few other links, but I will see you in the next video.